students, now goes to discuss about the respiration. Respiration means oxidation of the food particles, digested food particles, which are glucose, amino acids and fatty acids. This is called respiration. Okay, and breathing is the process of exchange of the oxygen with the carbon dioxide. Other than the energy producing sites in the body, that is called breathing. It is carbon dioxide in this produced by the cells after the oxidation of the food particles. Next, another one, internal respiration. Internal respiration means breakdown of the food, chemical breakdown of the food particles in the cells. Okay, it is also termed with oxidation of the digested food particles. Okay, students, this is the process to release the energy or produces the ATP molecules. Okay, students, and this is internal respiration, oxidation of the food, digested food particles to produce energy. Another, anaerobic respiration divides into two types. Anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration means nutrients, food particles oxidized without using of the oxygen molecules. Okay, incomplete, it is also called incomplete breakdown of the food particles, which produces low amount of the energy in the form of ATP. It is anaerobic respiration occurs in the cytoplasm of the cell, and it is also called fermentation. Now, yeast, bacteria, mussels goes to anaerobic respiration. Okay, students, and for example, one glucose molecule goes to the anaerobic respiration, and it gives only 2 ATP molecules. In this 2 ATP molecules are produces. The students, aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration in these cells use oxygen for the oxidation of the food particles, and it is occurs in mitochondria of the cells. In this for example, one glucose molecule goes to the aerobic respiration, it gives 36 molecules of the ATP. Okay, students, and it is the incomplete breakdown of the food particles, it is the complete breakdown of the food particles. In anaerobic respiration, some substances is also produces. These are lactic acid and the ethanol. Another, respiratory organs in animals. Different types of the respiratory organs present in various animals based on the needs and habitat of the animals, body arrangement of the animals. These protozoans like amoeba, paramecium, euglena, like that, and lower vertebrates are organisms, animals belongs from the phylum Porifera, Cnidaria and Platyhelminthes, like that. These if you observe hydra and sponges and flatworms, in these animals exchange of the oxygen and carbon dioxide is possible through body surface. Okay, students. Next, gills are the respiratory organs in crustaceans and fishes, bony fishes, cartilage fishes. Crustaceans, prawn is the one of the crustacean, and book gills are the respiratory organs in limulus and the king crab. Another name, king crab. Limulus is the scientific name, normal name king crab. Okay, students, and this is also called living fossil. And skin is the respiratory organ in annelids. For example, earthworm, Ferretima is the scientific name of earthworm. And amphibians. In the amphibians, example frog. And the trachea are the respiratory organ in insects like a cockroach and centipedes, millipedes belongs from the phylum Arthropoda. Okay, or examples Pyrostriptus, Julius, Scutigera. These are the examples for centipedes, millipedes. And lungs are the respiratory organs in tetrapods. Which are tetrapods? Tetrapods are the amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals. These are tetrapods which are having 4 limbs. And under booklungs are the respiratory organs in arachnids. Spiders, scorpions are the arachnids. Okay, animals goes to the respiration by skin is called cutaneous respiration. Animal goes to the respiration by lung is called pulmonary respiration. Okay students, now respiratory system, parts of the respiratory system. Respiratory system is open to the outside by the help of the external nostrils. External nostrils are 1 pair in number. These are opens to the outside. These are present above the upper lip and leads into the cavity, which are called nasal chambers. Next one is the nasal chambers. Nasal chambers having a cavity inside, that is called vestibule. Vestibule is covered with mucosa epithelium and the air. It prevents the entry of the dust particles into the respiratory tract. Okay students, and this is the nasal chamber that shows the 2 regions. One is the respiratory part. Okay students, respiratory part helps in conditioning the temperature of the inhaled air. Another one, olfactory part. What is about the olfactory part? Olfactory part that is covered with the olfactory epithelium. Olfactory epithelium helps to detect the sense of the smell. Okay students, and now goes to the next part, nasal chambers open into the nasopharynx. It is the one part of the pharynx. Students, nasal chambers open into the pharynx, and nasopharynx open into the trachea. Trachea is the windpipe. Nasopharynx open into the trachea through the larynx. Glottis of the larynx. Okay. In this, larynx is the middle part between the nasopharynx and the trachea. And the next part, that is the larynx. Next part is larynx. Larynx is the sound producing organ, sound producing part, not a organ, sound producing part in the human beings. It is also called voice box. Okay students, this is the larynx is made with 9 cartilages. In these 9, some are paired and another some are unpaired. Which are unpaired? Thyroid cartilage, cricoid cartilage, epiglottis. These are unpaired cartilages in the larynx. And paired cartilage means each one present in 2 number. Okay, paired cartilages are corniculate, arytenoid. Corniculate also called Santorini cartilages, and arytenoid and cuneiform. These are paired cartilages. And epiglottis, what is the role of the epiglottis? It is the epiglottis. It is the leaf-shaped elastic cartilage leaf shape elastic cartilage. Okay students, leaf shaped elastic cartilage that prevents the entry of the food particles into the larynx or the trachea at the time of the swallowing or deglutition. Okay students, this is the main function of the epiglottis. It prevents the entry of the food particles into the trachea or the larynx at the time of the swallowing. It is the leaf-like elastic cartilage. It covers the glottis. Okay student, glottis of larynx. It is about the epiglottis and vocal cords. Vocal cords are the yellow elastic fibers. Vocal cords are yellow elastic fibers which connects the thyroid cartilage and arytenoid cartilage. Thyroid cartilage, arytenoid cartilage connected with the yellow elastic fibers. These are called vocal cords. And under remaglottis is the opening. It is the opening between the true vocal cords and arytenoid cartilage. Okay students, this is about the remaglottis. And Adam's apple. What is the meaning of the Adam's apple? Importance of the Adam's apple. Adam's apple means this is the middle ventral portion, mid-ventral portion of the thyroid cartilage in the part of the larynx. That is called Adam's apple. These are the important in the larynx. Larynx is a sound producing organ in the human beings. It is with 9 cartilages, and also what is the role of the epiglottis and vocal cords and remaglottis and the Adam's apple. Okay students, these are parts of the respiratory system in the human beings up to the larynx, and the different types of the respiratory organs in the animals. And it is about the introduction on the respiration. Okay students, now going to discuss about respiratory system. First one is the trachea. About the trachea. Trachea is the windpipe. Trachea is also called windpipe. It transfers the air into the lungs, inhaled air into the lungs. And the wall of the trachea consists of C-shaped incomplete cartilaginous rings. C-shaped incomplete cartilaginous rings which are made with the hyaline cartilage. Hyaline cartilage is the important. Okay students, and these are the C-shaped incomplete cartilaginous rings or these are ventrally completed and incomplete at a dorsal position. Okay, this is length about the 12 centimeter, and this is the trachea inner surface. Inner surface of the trachea is lined with pseudostratified ciliated epithelium. And another, this is the trachea. Diagrammatic representation shows the respiratory system of the human beings. Okay, and another, this is the section view of the one lung. This is the trachea. Upper part of the trachea is with the larynx, and upper portion of the larynx is covered with the epiglottis. Epiglottis is the flap-like cartilaginous elastic cartilage structure which prevents the entry of food into the trachea. Okay students, epiglottis, it is the cartilage of the larynx. Now students, and in this trachea extend up to the mid-thoracic cavity. It is travels through the neck and mid-thoracic cavity. At the region of the mid-thoracic cavity, the trachea is divided into 2 branches at the level of the 5th thoracic vertebrae, which are called bronchi, which are called primary bronchi. Primary bronchi entered into the corresponding right and the left lung. Okay, this is the thoracic region, and trachea is divided into two branches at the level of fifth thoracic vertebrae. This is called bronchi, primary bronchi. Primary bronchi entered into the corresponding lung. Okay, students, and under primary bronchi entered into the lung and divided into secondary bronchi. Secondary bronchi divided into tertiary bronchi in the lungs. Secondary bronchi divides into many branches called tertiary bronchi. Tertiary bronchi, each one of the tertiary bronchus. Bronchi is the plural. Bronchus is the singular. Each tertiary bronchus divides into many branches which are called primary bronchioles. Primary bronchioles divides into secondary bronchioles. Secondary bronchioles divides into tertiary bronchioles, and tertiary bronchioles divides into terminal bronchioles. Okay, students, these are the terminal bronchioles ends with by the formation of the respiratory bronchioles. Respiratory bronchioles ends with the clusters of the group of the alveolar ducts. Alveolar ducts. Alveolar ducts are open into the alveolar sacs. Open into the alveolar sacs. Each of the alveolar sac is consist thin wall and a bag-like structure. Okay, students, and with much amount of the blood capillaries. Okay, students, and then another bronchi, initial bronchioles with incomplete cartilage rings like a trachea. Another, what about the alveoli? Alveoli are the spherical round shaped structures, bag-like structures. Okay, these are functional units, more in number in each of the lung. These are act as a functional units of the each lung. Another, these are with many blood capillaries which flows the blood at the time of the flowing of the blood. Through these blood capillaries, it is the chance for exchange of the gases such as oxygen and the carbon dioxide by the process of the diffusion. Other students, what about the lungs? Okay, lungs are present in the thoracic cavity. It occupies most amount of the space in the thoracic cavity. It is these are the lungs are situated in the airtight chamber. Another double layered membrane that covers the outer surface of the each lung, that is called pleural membrane, which consists squamous epithelium. The space between the two pleural layers, these are the layers. The space between these two layers, there is a fluid that is called pleural fluid. Pleural fluid protects the lungs from the friction on the lung surface. Okay, students, and another each of the lung also divided into lobes. Okay, right lung has 3 lobes and left lung has 2 lobes. Another, what about the airtight chamber? Lungs are located in the airtight chamber. What about the airtight chamber? Airtight chamber is formed by different body parts. In this, at the lungs region dorsally it consists vertebrae or vertebral column, and ventrally is with the sternum, okay, and laterally is with the ribs, and lower part it consists the diaphragm, it is the diaphragm. Okay students, this is the special arrangement that surrounds the different types of the parts that surrounds the lungs, is gives one of the tight airtight chamber. Okay students, and it is a special arrangement for the lungs is necessary for the exchange of the different gases. Okay students, and another conducting part. What about the conducting part? Conducting part means from the external nostrils to the terminal bronchioles. Okay, external nostrils are the outside opening parts which helps in receiving the outer atmospheric air into the lungs. From the external nostrils to the terminal bronchioles opens into the respiratory bronchioles. From the external nostrils to the terminal bronchioles, that is a part of the respiratory system, is called conducting part. It helps in conditioning the inhaled air into the body temperature and prevents the entry of the dust particles into the lungs through the air, and it helps in humidifying of the air. Okay students, and transfer the air into the alveoli. This is the conducting part. And what about the exchange part? Exchange part, it is helps in exchange of the oxygen and the carbon dioxide. Okay students, between the blood and the air. In this alveoli and their ducts, alveolar ducts which are called, and these are the places for diffusion, and there is a exchange is possible between two gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Amount of the carbon dioxide present in the blood capillaries of the alveoli, and alveoli are totally filled with the oxygenated air. The amount of the oxygen enters into the blood of the blood capillaries in alveoli wall, and the amount of the carbon dioxide present in the blood capillaries of alveoli enters into the lumen of the alveoli. Okay students, this is the exchange is possible through the alveolar membrane, across the alveolar membrane. And another, breathing. What about the breathing? Outer atmospheric air, which consists to 21% of the oxygen, and drawn into the alveoli by the respiratory tract, finally reaches into the alveoli, finally enter into the alveoli of lungs, drawn into alveoli, and rich in carbon dioxide. Already alveoli are totally filled with the carbon dioxide. That is, the carbon dioxide is sent out through the respiratory tract. Okay students, and the diffusion of the gases through the alveolar membrane. Another one, cellular respiration. What is the meaning of the cellular respiration? Cellular respiration, for the oxidation of the food particles, cells are entered into the oxidation. Cells are entered into the catabolic reactions on the food particles, that is produces ATP, carbon dioxide, and the amount of the water. That is called cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is also called internal respiration. Okay students, That one is the oxygen and the carbon dioxide exchange is possible at the region of the alveoli, and blood is helps in transport of the gas, oxygen, transport of the oxygen to the body cells or the tissues. Okay, and each one of the cell present in the body, present in the tissues of the body, that goes to the cellular respiration. This is the oxygen helps in chemical breakdown of the food particles. Okay, at the same time, after the catabolic reaction, after the oxidation of the food particles, it produces ATP and the carbon dioxide and the water. That is called cellular respiration, intercellular cellular respiration. Okay, students, this is about the different parts of the respiratory system. Okay, students, now going to discuss about the mechanism of breathing. What do you know about the breathing? Breathing is the exchange of gases between the lungs and the outer atmospheric air other than the energy producing sites is called breathing. Okay, and it is the mechanism of breathing involves two steps. One is the inspiration and the one is the expiration. Okay, and in this lungs are the main respiratory organs in the human beings. These are present in the thoracic chamber. Okay, one pair lungs which are also situated, it is also called airtight chamber. It is formed by dorsally vertebral column and ventrally by sternum, laterally ribs, and lower it consists dome shaped diaphragm. Students, our diaphragm is with the muscle called phrenic muscles, and between the ribs, okay, 12 pair ribs present in the human beings. These are the ribs are jointed. Okay, between the ribs there is a muscles are called external intercostal muscles and the internal intercostal muscles. Okay, these muscles also helps in mechanism of the breathing. Okay, mainly two types of the muscles helps in mechanism of the breathing. Which are the muscles? These are external intercostal muscles present between the ribs, and another one is phrenic muscle which present in the dome shaped diaphragm. Okay, students, this is the diagrammatic part that shows the mechanism of the breathing. This is about the inspiration, this is about the expiration. Okay, and this first one in the mechanism of the breathing, first one is inspiration. What about the inspiration? Intake of air into the lungs. Intake of air from the atmospheric air into the lungs through the respiratory tract is called inspiration. It is the active process. And in this two muscles, already you know, first one is phrenic muscle, second one is external intercostal muscles. Goes to the contraction. In this first one, phrenic muscles goes to the contraction. Dome shaped diaphragm is changes into flatten. It causes the increasing of the thoracic volume anterior and posteriorly. Okay, students. Next, another one of the muscle, that is external intercostal muscles. External intercostal muscles goes to the contraction. It is causes the increasing of the thoracic cavity dorso-ventrally. It leads to the ribs and the sternum comes into up position. Okay, lift up and also raised. Okay, ribs and the sternum are raises. Okay, or lift up, and it causes the increasing of the thoracic volume, thoracic cavity, dorso-ventrally. The students, and overall increase of the thoracic cavity, thoracic volume increases the pulmonary volume, volume of the lungs is increases, and it causes decreasing of the intrapulmonary pressure. Intrapulmonary pressure is decreases, and at the same time this is the intrapulmonary pressure is decreases than the outer atmospheric air. So the air present in the outer atmospheric air is entered into the lungs through the respiratory tract. It is called inspiration. It is the intrapulmonary pressure is decreased than the atmospheric pressure. So the air present in the atmospheric air is entered into the lungs through the respiratory tract. Okay, students. Next, another one is the expiration. It is the diagram that shows the part of the inspiration. Air comes into the lungs. Volume of the thoracic cavity is increases. Okay, students. These are the linear arrangement of the vertebrae. Okay, and expiration. What about the expiration? Expiration means release of the alveolar air, alveoli present in the lungs. These are alveoli filled with the carbon dioxide with air. Okay, that is the air present in the alveoli is called alveolar air. Alveoli filled with the air, that one is goes to the exterior, expelled to the outside, that is called expiration. It is the passive process. Expiration is the passive process. Okay, students, and in this first one, relaxation goes to the relaxation. Two types of the muscles goes to the relaxation. In this first one, relaxation of the phrenic muscles present in the diaphragm. Relaxation of the phrenic muscles, it causes the decreasing of the thoracic cavity, anterior posteriorly, and it comes into original position, dome shaped structure. Diaphragm comes into dome shaped position. And another, relaxation of the external intercostal muscles. Okay, this is the dome shaped diaphragm. And relaxation of the external intercostal muscles present between the ribs, and ribs comes to its original position. Ribs and the sternum comes into its original position. What do you know about the sternum? Sternum is the middle bone. It is firstly forms in amphibians, in the vertebrates. Okay, ribs, all the ribs are attached to the sternum, middle part of the bone. Okay, by the relaxation of the external intercostal muscles present between the ribs, at the same time, ribs and the sternum comes into its original position. This causes the decreasing of the thoracic cavity. Overall decreasing of the thoracic cavity decreases the pulmonary volume. And it causes, when the pulmonary volume is decreases, It increases the intrapulmonary pressure. Increasing the intrapulmonary pressure. Pressure within the lungs is called intrapulmonary pressure. By this is the intrapulmonary pressure is increases than the outer pressure of the outer atmosphere. Okay, the air present in the alveoli expel to the outside through the respiratory tract. This is called expiration. This is called expiration. Okay, students. Now, what about the forced expiration? Forced expiration. Forced expiration means it is occurs due to the forced expiration. Forced expiration. Expel the air from the lungs to outside by forced expiration. It is caused by the contraction of the internal intercostal muscles present between the ribs and lateral abdominal muscles. Lateral abdominal muscles. Both of the muscles goes to the contraction. It is causes the forced expiration. It leads to forced expiration. Okay, students. These are the arrow marks that shows the entry of the air into the thoracic cavity or lungs, and these are the arrow marks in the expiration that shows the expel of the air present in the lungs to outside. Okay, another healthy individual, healthy adult human beings breathe approximately 12 to 16 times per minute. 12 to 16 times per minute. Okay, students. Next, the volume of the air at the time of the breathing can be estimated, determined by the spirometer, by the help of the spirometer. Student, now the topic is respiratory volumes and capacities. Respiratory capacities. Respiratory volumes and respiratory capacities. In this first one, tidal volume TV. What is about the tidal volume? Volume of air inspired or expired during normal inspiration or expiration. Okay, volume of the air inspired or expired during the normal inspiration, normal expiration. That is approximately equal to 500 ml in human beings. Next, second one is IRV. IRV, inspiratory reserve volume. IRV, inspiratory reserve volume. Inspiratory. This additional volume of air that can be inhaled during forced breathing. During the forced breathing. Okay, additional volume of the air that can be inhaled. Additional volume of the air can be inhaled during the forced breathing. Okay, that is IRV, inspiratory reserve volume, that is equal to 2500 ml to 3000 ml. Okay, students. Next, expiratory reserve volume, ERV. Expiratory reserve volume, ERV. Okay, students. Additional volume of air that can be exhaled. In IRV there is inhaled, but in ERV there is a exhaled. Additional volume of the air that can be exhaled during forced expiration. During the forced expiration, additional volume of the air that can be exhaled. That is approximately 1000 to 1100 ml. 1000 to 1100 ml. Okay students, next another one, residual volume RV. Residual volume RV. This volume of air remaining in the lungs after the forcible expiration. Volume of the air remaining in the lungs, present in the lungs. Okay, after forcible expiration, amount of the air present in the remaining present in the lungs, that is called residual volume. Okay students, next, inspiratory capacity, IC, inspiratory capacity. What is the meaning of inspiratory capacity? Total volume of the air person inhale after normal expiration. After the normal expiration, the amount of the air can inhaled. Total volume of the air that can be inhaled after the normal expiration. Okay students, that is equal to tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume. It is equal to approximately 3000 to 3500 ml. Another, functional residual capacity, FRC. Functional residual capacity. What is the meaning of the functional residual capacity? Already you know residual value. This is a residual capacity. Volume of air remaining in the lungs after normal expiration. After normal expiration, the volume of the air present in the lungs, that is equal to FRC. This is equal to expiratory reserve value plus residual value. Okay students, next another one, that is vital capacity. What about the vital capacity? What is the meaning of the vital capacity? Maximum volume of the air. A person can breathe. A person can breathe in after forced expiration. The volume of the air a person can breathe in. Okay student, maximum volume of the air a person can breathe in after the forced expiration, that is called vital capacity. It is equal to tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume plus ERV, expiratory reserve volume. Vital capacity is equal to tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume and expiratory reserve volume. Next, last one is total lung capacity, TLC, total lung capacity. What is the meaning of total lung capacity? Total volume of the air accommodated in the lungs. Total volume of air accommodated in the lungs at the end of the forced inspiration. At the end of the forced inspiration, the volume of the total volume of the air accommodated in the lungs, that is called total lung capacity. It is equal to vital capacity plus residual volume. Okay students, these are different respiratory volumes and their capacities, very important in examination point of view. Students, now discuss about regulation of respiratory movements. Human beings also have ability to regulate, moderate the respiratory rhythm or respiratory movements, alter the respiratory movements. Okay students, and in this first one, it is mainly occurs due to the involvement of the nervous system, neural system. This first one is medulla Medulla plays important role in the respiratory movement. Medulla is with the one of the center that is called respiratory rhythm center. Respiratory rhythm center regulates the respiratory movements, moderates the respiratory movements. Okay, students. And second one, center in pons of the brain. Medulla is the part of the hindbrain, last part of the hindbrain. Pons is also present in the hindbrain, part of the hindbrain. It is above the medulla oblongata, locates above the medulla oblongata. Pons is also with one center that is called pneumotoxic center. Pneumotoxic center. Okay, students, it is mainly helps in the regulation of the respiratory muscles. Okay, students, regulation of the respiratory muscles, and finally helps to alter the respiratory movements. It is the pneumotoxic center mainly involved in reduce the duration of inspiration, reduce the duration of the inspiratory rate. Okay, students, and send signals to respiratory rhythm center which is present in the medulla of brain. Next, third one, chemosensitive area. Chemosensitive area, this is locates adjacent to the respiratory rhythm center. Okay, students, which is present at the medulla part of the brain. Okay, students, and this is chemosensitive area is highly sensitive to carbon dioxide and hydrogen ions. Carbon dioxide and hydrogen ions. When these are increases in the body fluids, and that type of the signals are sent to the respiratory rhythmic center to alter the respiratory movements and comes into the normal position of the respiratory movements. Next, second, another one is the receptors. Another one, receptors. This is the fourth one in the regulation of the respiratory movements. Receptors associated with the aortic arch and carotid artery. Carotid artery. Aortic arch, it is the main blood vessel. Carotid artery also supplies the blood to the anterior part of the body. Carotid artery. These are the main blood vessels having the receptors in its wall. Okay, students. These are the receptors recognize the changes or increasing the level of the carbon dioxide and hydrogen ions in the body fluids in the blood. Okay, students, and the type of these signals are sent to the respiratory rhythmic center and pneumotoxic center which is present in pons. Okay. And these are the centers goes to the action and increases the respiratory movements, alter the respiratory movements, and finally these are the substances are eliminated from the body of human beings. Okay, students, this is about the regulation of the respiratory movements. Okay, students, now goes to the discuss about exchange of gases. Exchange of gases, oxygen and the carbon dioxide, respiratory gases. Two types of these sites are there for the exchange of the gases in the body. First one is the alveoli of the lungs. Second one is between the blood and the tissues. Second one is between the blood and the tissues. Okay, students, in this exchange of the gas is by the process of the simple diffusion. By the process of the simple diffusion. Simple diffusion, rate of the simple diffusion can be affected by some amount of the factors. Which are the factors? First one is the partial pressure of the gas. Partial pressure of the gas. Next, second one is the solubility nature of the gas. Solubility nature of gas. And third one is the thickness of the respiratory membrane. Thickness of the respiratory membrane, diffusible membrane. Okay, students. And another surface area of the diffusible membrane. If you observe, more surface area is there, more amount of the gas goes to the diffusion. And the distance of the diffusion, where the space is provided for the diffusion of the gases, distance of the diffusion. These are the factors that affects the rate of the diffusion of the single gas. And then what is the meaning of the partial pressure? Partial pressure, that means it is the gas, pressure of the gas contributed on the mixture of the other gases. Okay, it is the partial pressure, means it is the one gas shows the pressure on amount of the mixture of gases. Pressure contributed by the single gas on the mixture of the other gases is called partial pressure. Okay, students. Partial pressure of the oxygen indicates with PO2. Partial pressure of the carbon dioxide is indicates with PCO2, like that. PO2, PCO2. Another, students, if you observe the carbon dioxide solubility of the carbon dioxide is more than the oxygen. Okay. Another, diffusion capacity, if you observe, the diffusion capacity of the carbon dioxide is 20 to 25 times more than the oxygen through the diffusible membrane. Okay, students, and if you observe, this is the diagrammatic part. Section cutting, view of the section cutting of alveolus with the pulmonary capillary. Okay, alveoli are the functional units of lungs. Okay, and if you observe the wall of the alveolar wall, this is made with the single layer of the cells. That is made with squamous epithelium, that is formed by squamous epithelium. And this is the wall is with much amount of the blood capillaries that flows the blood, its lumen. These are the blood capillaries of the wall of alveolus, is called pulmonary capillary. Okay, students, the wall of the pulmonary capillary made with a single layer of the endothelium. Okay, the wall of the blood capillary and the another also the wall of the alveolus. The region, these two are separated by one of the membrane, that is the basement membrane. Okay, it forms the diffusible membrane or the respiratory membrane. This is the respiratory membrane, allows the passage of the two types of the gases, exchange of the gases. Okay, students, another diffusible membrane that consists of three layers. In this upper layer is a thin squamous epithelium. Present in the wall of alveolus. This is the thin squamous epithelium, upper layer. And another one is endothelium of the alveolar capillary. This is the endothelium of the blood capillary. It is the second layer. And under basement membrane, the basement membrane is present between these two, alveolar wall and endothelium of the blood capillary. Endothelium of the blood capillaries and alveolar wall. The region between these two, there is a basement membrane. It is the middle layer. These three layers forms the alveolar membrane, diffusible membrane, or the respiratory membrane, which allows the exchange of the gases such as oxygen and the carbon dioxide. Okay, students. Another, this is the diagrammatic representation which shows the exchange of the gases at alveoli. Exchange of the gases at alveoli and alveolus, and the exchange of the gases is also occurs at the region of the body tissues with the blood, and also shows the transport of the two gases, oxygen and the carbon dioxide. If you observe, outer atmospheric air, the partial pressure of oxygen is equal to 159 mmHg. Partial pressure of the carbon dioxide is equal to 0.3 mmHg in the atmospheric air. Okay, that is the outer atmospheric air enters into the cavity of the alveolus. Now it is called alveolar air. Okay, in the alveoli. Okay, in the alveolar air, if you observe partial pressure of the two types gases, partial pressure of oxygen 104 mmHg, partial pressure of carbon dioxide 40 mmHg. Okay, in this, partial pressure of oxygen is higher than the carbon dioxide. It is favor for the diffusion of the oxygen into the blood that flows through the lumen of the blood capillary or the pulmonary capillaries. Okay, and this is now the oxygen entered into the blood. Now it is called oxygenated blood. That amount of the oxygenated blood is received by the left ventricle finally, and the left ventricle pumps the oxygenated blood into the body tissues through the systemic artery. If you observe, the blood passes through the systemic arteries. The partial pressure of the oxygen is 95 mmHg. Partial pressure of carbon dioxide is 40 mmHg. In the oxygenated blood passes through the systemic arteries into the body tissues. Okay. In the oxygenated blood, partial pressure of oxygen is high. It is a favor for the diffusion into the body cells, into the extracellular fluid. Okay, students. And at the same time, carbon dioxide is diffused into the blood in the opposite direction. Okay, students. This is the deoxygenated blood is carries to the right ventricle by the help of the systemic veins. If you observe, the blood passes through the systemic veins. The partial pressure of the oxygen is 40 mmHg, where the partial pressure of the carbon dioxide is high than the PO2 is with 45 mmHg. That is the deoxygenated blood is finally carries towards the region of the lungs by the help of the pulmonary artery. In this type of the blood, carbon dioxide, partial pressure of the carbon dioxide is high than the oxygen. So carbon dioxide is diffuses into the alveolar cavity. Okay, students, this is about the transport of the gases and another exchange of the gases at the region of the alveoli, exchange of the gases between the body tissues and the blood. Another gaseous exchange is two types. One is the pulmonary gas exchange. Pulmonary gas exchange. Gas exchange is possible at the region of the alveoli. Alveoli, that is called external respiration. External respiration. Oxygen enters into the blood of the blood capillary in the alveoli. Okay, these are the blood capillaries present in the wall of the alveolus. Okay, students, and carbon dioxide present in the blood is diffuses into the alveolar cavity. That is called pulmonary gas exchange or external respiration. And another one is systemic gas exchange. Systemic gas exchange, also called internal respiration. This means the oxygenated blood enters at the region of the body tissues. Okay, the partial pressure of the oxygen is higher than the carbon dioxide. So the oxygen entered into the extracellular fluid. After it is enters into the inner part of the cell for the oxidation of the food particles, chemical breakdown of the food particles, which is called internal respiration. Okay, students, and at the same time, after the oxidation of the food particle, carbon dioxide is produced. The amount of the carbon dioxide is high at the region of the body tissues. This is diffuses into the blood, and now blood is converted into the deoxygenated. Deoxygenated blood carries towards the right ventricle. This is called systemic gas exchange or internal respiration. Respiration or the exchange of the gases between the blood and the body tissues is called internal respiration. Exchange of the gases at the region of the alveoli is called pulmonary gas exchange or external respiration. Okay, students, now today's topic is about the transport of gases, oxygen and the carbon dioxide. Now alveolar air, okay, cavity of the alveolus filled with the air, okay, and that amount of the oxygen, how it is transported to the body tissues. At the same time, carbon dioxide, how it is enters into the region of the lungs. Okay, this is an account about the transport of the gases. Transport of the gases mainly by the blood. Students, and in this two types of the gases. In this first one is the oxygen, second one is the carbon dioxide. Now transport of oxygen. Transport of oxygen lungs to the tissues. Okay, from the lungs, the cavity of the alveolus filled with the oxygenated air, the oxygen is diffuses into the blood of the capillary, pulmonary capillary. From the lungs region, it is transported to the tissues by the two methods. One is plasma and the second one is RBC of blood. RBC of blood. Okay, students, in this 100 ml of the oxygenated blood, 100 ml of the oxygenated blood that can deliver 5 ml of the oxygen to the tissues. 100 ml of the oxygenated blood can deliver 5 ml of the oxygen to the tissues. Okay, students, through the blood. And another transport of the oxygen by plasma by RBC. Transport of the oxygen by the plasma. 3% of the oxygen carries to the tissues by the plasma in the dissolved state. Which is the oxygen is dissolved in plasma of the blood. In this way, 3% of the oxygen is transported to the tissues. And another by red blood cells, erythrocytes. These are the RBC. RBC carries 97% of the oxygen to the tissues, body tissues. Okay, students, and already you know about the hemoglobin. What about the hemoglobin? Hemoglobin is the red colored pigment present in the RBC. It is the chromoprotein, helps in transport of the oxygen through the blood to the tissues. The molecular weight of the hemoglobin is 68,000 Daltons. Each one of the hemoglobin molecule that contains 4 ferrous ions. Each one of the ion that is binds with the one molecule of the oxygen. So each hemoglobin molecule that is binds with the 4 molecules of the oxygen. Okay, students, when the hemoglobin is binds with the oxygen and form the oxyhemoglobin. Next in this, students, binding of the oxygen with the hemoglobin is related on the partial pressure of the oxygen. Okay, when partial pressure of the oxygen is high, that is helps to formation of the oxyhemoglobin. Much amount of the oxygen is binds with the hemoglobin. Okay, students, and another at the lungs region, partial pressure of the oxygen is high. At the lungs region, partial pressure of the oxygen is high, and oxygen binds with the hemoglobin. Oxygen is binds with the hemoglobin. Students, and this one is the hemoglobin is purplish bluish red in color. When it is binds with the oxygen to form the oxyhemoglobin, it is bright red in color. Oxyhemoglobin is bright red in color. Hemoglobin is purplish bluish red in color. Students, and to form the oxyhemoglobin, one of the hemoglobin molecule binds with 4 molecules of oxygen and forms the oxyhemoglobin. And what about the situation available in the tissues? What about the situation present in the tissues? In the tissues, partial pressure of the oxygen is low. Because of oxygen utilized by the cells for chemical breakdown of the food particles, oxidation of the food particles, catabolic reactions on the food particles. Okay, to release temperature. Okay, students, to produce ATP energy molecules. And at that region, partial pressure of the carbon dioxide is also high. Okay, students, this is causes for the divides of the dissociation of the oxyhemoglobin into hemoglobin and the oxygen. This is the oxygen is delivered to the tissues, delivered to the cells. And another factors, what are the factors that affects the formation and the dissociation of the oxyhemoglobin? Separation of the oxygen with the hemoglobin. Dissociation means, association means oxygen combines with the hemoglobin. Okay, some amount of the factors determine the dissociation and another formation, association of the oxyhemoglobin. Okay, which are the factors? Partial pressure of the carbon dioxide, hydrogen ions, presentation of the hydrogen ions. It also termed with concentration of the pH. High pH, that means decreases the level of the hydrogen ions. Okay, low pH, that means increases the hydrogen ions. And temperature is also one of the factor. Okay, next oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. Oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. Students, it is a very important oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. It is the oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. This is the relationship between the partial pressure of the oxygen and amount of the oxyhemoglobin is formed. Oxyhemoglobin is formed, and at the same time dissociated has been studied under the different types of the conditions. Okay, students, and at that time sigmoid curve is obtained. Sigmoid curve is obtained when it is percentage saturation of the oxyhemoglobin is plotted against with the partial pressure of the oxygen in mmHg. That is called oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. Okay, students, another students, some amount of the factors some amount of the factors helpful for studying the oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. Some amount of the factors that determine the association of the oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. Okay, student, it is useful amount of the studying on the different types of the factors, effect of the factors on the oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. What are the factors? PCO2, partial pressure of the carbon dioxide, pH, okay, students, and power of hydrogen ions, and under temperature. How these are the factors affect the formation and the dissociation of the oxyhemoglobin. This is also studied by the oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. This students, in this is in the alveoli, in the lungs region, where the pH is high and partial pressure of the carbon dioxide is low in the alveoli, and at the same time temperature is also low at the region of alveoli. These are the conditions are available at the region of the alveoli. This is a favor for the association of the oxyhemoglobin, and at the same time curve is shifted to the left one. Curve is shifted to the left side. And another, if you observe at the region of the body tissues, which are the factors are available, which type of the condition is available? pH is low, and temperature is high at the body tissues. Temperature is high, and at the same time carbon dioxide is high. Okay, students, which is temperature and carbon dioxide both are present at the level of eye level. Because cellular respiration, internal respiration is completed. These are the situations are favorable for the dissociation of the oxygen with the hemoglobin. Okay, students, another, in this, at the same time curve is shifted to the right side. Okay, students, this is about the oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve, very important. And another one, Bohr effect. what about the Bohr effect? This is the effect of the carbon dioxide and the pH on the affinity of oxygen with the hemoglobin, that is called Bohr effect. Students, in this, carbon dioxide is increases at the level of the body tissues, and in the blood it is causes for decreasing the pH. At the same time, this leads to the dissociation of the oxygen from the hemoglobin. Students, now today discuss topic is transport of gases. Transport of gases. Already you know about the transport of the oxygen. Today discuss about the transport of the carbon dioxide. How it is transport to the body tissues. Okay, student. And another in this transport of the carbon dioxide is by three methods. In this, first one is in dissolved state. In dissolved state. First, in this dissolved state, 7% of the carbon dioxide is transported by this method. Carbon dioxide dissolves in the plasma, and forms the carbonic acid. Okay, students. And by this carbonic acid, this is transported to the region of the lungs through the blood. And the second one is as carbamino compounds. Okay, students, 20 to 25% of the carbon dioxide is transported by this way, by this method. This carbon dioxide combines with amino group of the hemoglobin. Okay, hemoglobin is the chromoprotein which gives red color to the blood. Okay, and amino group of the hemoglobin binds with the carbon dioxide and forms the carbamino hemoglobin and hydrogen ions also releases. Okay, separates. This at the tissue region, partial pressure of the carbon dioxide is high and partial pressure of the oxygen is low, and amount of the carbon dioxide is binds with the amino group of the hemoglobin to form carbamino hemoglobin. Students, at the alveoli region, carbon dioxide, partial pressure of the carbon dioxide is low. Student, partial pressure of the carbon dioxide is low and partial pressure of oxygen is high, and dissociation of the carbon dioxide is possible from the carbamino hemoglobin. Okay, students, and another same amount of the carbamino compounds also formed by the union of the carbon dioxide with the plasma proteins. Okay, students, and third one has bicarbonates. Okay, in this 70% of the carbon dioxide is transported by this method. In this carbonic anhydrase is the enzyme plays main role in the transport of the carbon dioxide as bicarbonates. Okay, students, carbonic anhydrase is the enzyme present in the RBC. Okay, and little amount of the carbonic anhydrase is also present in plasma of the blood. Students, carbon dioxide combines with the water, and by the stimulation of the carbonic anhydrase it is changes into carbonic acid. And another, this is by the stimulation of the carbonic anhydrase again, carbonic acid is divides into bicarbonate and the hydrogen ions. Okay, students, At the tissue region, what about the situation is available? Partial pressure of the carbon dioxide is high, and partial pressure of the oxygen is low. This is causes the diffusing of the carbon dioxide into the blood and forms the carbonic acid. At the same time, this is dissociates into bicarbonates and hydrogen ions. In the alveoli region, partial pressure of the carbon dioxide is low. Okay, students, and at the same time, reaction goes to opposite direction to form the carbon dioxide and the H2O. Okay, students, and entire the reaction is goes to the opposite direction to form the carbon dioxide and the water molecules. Okay, students, and another, what about the chloride shift? Chloride shift, it is also called Amberger's phenomenon. Okay, plasma membrane of the RBC is more permeable to the anions. Okay, students, bicarbonate ions which is present in the RBC of the blood is diffuses into the plasma. These are the hydrogen ions. Bicarbonate ions are diffuses into the plasma from the RBC. These are the hydrogen ions are picked up with the hemoglobin. Okay, students, these are the separation of the hydrogen ions. Bicarbonates are there, and these are combined with the oxyhemoglobin, and at the same time, this amount of the bicarbonate ions goes to outside, diffuses to outside from the RBC into the plasma. At the same time, hydrogen ions are picked up by the hemoglobin to maintain acid hemoglobin. In this way, hemoglobin is acting as a buffer helps to maintain the constant pH of the blood. Okay, student, and another, at the same time, bicarbonates are there, and oxygen is again releases from the HB. Oxygen is separated from the oxyhemoglobin. At the same time, oxygen releases from HB and diffuses into the plasma, again enters into the body tissues. Okay, students, another, in this when the bicarbonate ions are diffuses into the plasma to maintain electrolyte balance, ionic balance, chloride ions are present in the plasma, diffuses into the inner part of the RBC. This is the phenomenon is called chloride shift or Amberger's phenomenon. Okay, students, and this is about the carbon dioxide transport. This one is shows. In this, body tissues are there. Body tissues goes to the catabolic reactions, oxidation of the food particles. Carbon dioxide is produces. The amount of the carbon dioxide is entered into the inner part of the RBC, and at the same time, carbon dioxide with the help of the oxygen, combination of the water molecules, carbon dioxide by the combination of the water molecules and converted into carbonic acid in the inner part of the RBC. At the same time, this is the carbonic acid is dissociate into hydrogen ions and the bicarbonates. The amount of the bicarbonate is diffuses into the plasma. This is the blood capillary This is the blood capillary. This is the RBC. This is the RBC. Amount of the bicarbonate diffuses to the outside, diffuses into the plasma. When the blood is flows to the region of the lungs, these are the carbon dioxide and the hydrogen ions are picks up by the hemoglobin. Okay, student. And another, now amount of the bicarbonate ions entered into the inner part of the RBC, and hydrogen ions also separated from the hemoglobin, and carbonic acid is formed in the inner part of RBC. At the same time, this is separate into or dissociate into water molecules and the carbon dioxide. Okay, at this time, hemoglobin releases the carbon dioxide and the hydrogen ions. Amount of the carbon dioxide is transport to the lungs and exchange into the alveolar cavity of the alveoli. Okay, students, this is the representation shows the transport of the carbon dioxide. Okay, students, now discuss about respiratory disorders. Disorders of respiratory system. This first one is asthma. It is allergic disorder. Okay, student. Next, it is with the inflammation of the bronchi and bronchioles. These are the parts of the respiratory tract. Inflammation of the bronchi and bronchioles, and difficulty in breathing. It is with the difficulty in breathing due to spasm of the smooth muscles present in the wall of bronchioles. Okay, students, spasm means, what is the meaning of this spasm? Spasm is the painful condition due to the involuntary contraction of the smooth muscles. Okay, students, so at the same time, smooth muscles in the bronchi and the bronchioles goes to the involuntary contraction, and it causes the difficulty in breathing finally. And what are the symptoms? Coughing is the symptom, and wheezing also one of the symptom. Wheezing means respiratory sound at the time of the breathing, inspiration or expiration, that is called wheezing. Okay, students, sound at the time of the breathing is called wheezing. And histamine, what about the histamine? Histamine is the chemicals. Okay, students, these are produced by mast cells. This is the asthma is the allergic disorder. Allergy, what is the meaning of the allergy? Allergy is caused by allergens in human beings. Allergens are the substances which cause the allergy. That is about the allergens. Which are acting as allergens? Allergens are the animal danders, dust particles. Okay, student, and pollens. These are acting as allergens. Okay, and in this, at the time of the allergy, which is caused by the allergens, at the time of the allergy, mast cells produce chemicals called histamine. Okay, students, this is the histamine causes the constriction of the bronchi. Okay, and another one is the emphysema. What about the emphysema? Emphysema, it is the chronic disorder. Chronic means prolonged time. Chronic disorder, and alveoli walls damaged, goes to the damage. Walls of the alveoli goes to the damage, and at the same time respiratory surface area of the exchange of gases is decreases, lungs become larger and with few alveoli, and at the same time in this disease, fibrous content is increased in the lungs, and at the same time elasticity is decreases. Okay students, and another one, smoking of the tobacco or cigarette smoking is the main cause for emphysema. And the third one is bronchitis. What is about bronchitis? It is the inflammation of the bronchi and the bronchioles. Inflammation of the bronchi and the bronchioles. One of the main symptoms in this, excessive mucus production from the wall of the bronchi and the bronchioles. Okay students, and increases mucus production and decreases the diameter of the bronchi and the bronchioles. And the symptoms, another symptoms are regular cough with thick mucus also called phlegm or sputum. And the students, fourth one is pneumonia. What about the pneumonia? Pneumonia, it is infection of the lungs. It is caused by bacteria called Streptococcus pneumonia. It is also caused by viruses and the fungi, mycoplasma and the protozoans. These symptoms are inflammation of lungs is the symptom, and another accumulation of the mucus in the part of the alveoli. Okay, mucus accumulated in the alveoli, and impaired stops exchange of the gases is the another symptom, and death may also leads, okay, finally if untreated. Okay, stand. Next, another one in this, what about COPDs, chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. Students, asthma, emphysema and bronchitis, these are includes under chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. Okay students, this is also important. And the smoking of the tobacco is one of the main cause for emphysema. It is also important. Next, occupational respiratory disorders. In this first one is the asbestosis. Asbestos. Occupational respiratory disorders is also called disorders of the industry workers. This asbestosis, it is occurs due to chronic exposure to asbestos dust. People who working in asbestos industries. Next, second one is the silicosis. What is about the silicosis? It is occurs due to the exposure to silica dust. People who working in mining industries, stone breaking industries or quarries. And another one, siderosis is the third one. It is occurs due to the deposition of the iron particles in the tissue of human beings. It is three types. Pneumoconiasis in this type, excessive deposition of the iron in the interstitial fluid. And another one is the hyperthermia, excessive deposition of the iron in the body of human beings. Next, hemosiderosis. Hemosiderosis means recurrent hemorrhage from the alveoli walls. It is the symptom. Okay. Hemorrhage means when breakage of the blood vessel. The blood is breakage of the blood vessel. Hemorrhage means breakage of the blood vessels or the bloody capillaries, which helps for escaping of the blood from the bloody capillaries or blood vessels. Okay students, this is one of the symptom in hemosiderosis. And another, black lung disease. What about the black lung disease? It is inhalation, it is occurs due to the inhalation of the coal dust. Inhalation of the coal dust. In this disorder, it is mainly occurs in people who working in coal mine industries. It is the main lung disorder. Lung is mainly affected. Black lung disease it is about. These are the occupational respiratory disorders: asbestosis, silicosis, cirrhosis, and another one is the black lung disease. It is mainly, black lung disease is mainly caused by inhalation of coal dust into the lungs.